controller told us that these objects have been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
Is there a correlation between any of the characteristics of these UAPs, UFOs?
What we tend to see are the smaller vehicles tend to be, think of a sports car. The large ones tend to be, not always, but almost exclusively either triangular shape or boomerang shape.
Werewolves? Unseated. Walking around like they don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
The UFO, UAP community was fairly surprised. Shocked might be a better word.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came to some of these recoveries.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes, definitely. At Lane Cove.
When was it?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
There is now a new UFO whistleblower with some major bombshell level statements.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This episode is brought to you by some amazing people. Mecca Mickey, Jason Finch, Timoth Man, Sir Brian Bowden, Jay Grove, Intergalactic Wrangler, Kelly Lewis, Patrick O'Leary, Multifaceted Jules, Shelley Montgomery, Aaron's Energy 313, Eric Booth, The Diz Loki, Nathan from The Quantum Show, Gary T, T-Bone, Richard Harrison, Eddie Tabb, Diane Boss, and Jeanette Angel. And a special thank you to all of our subscribers on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Rumble. If you wish to support the podcast, you can hit the join button below to become an Eyes to That Sky member. Or if you want to join our Patreon or provide other support, the links are below in the show description. But now, on with the show. Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
on an escalator.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast live show, unless you're listening in the future.
As we both count down to summer vacation.
Absolutely. We're almost done with the kids. And this
Two more
year-
Mondays.
2 more Mondays, but hey, it's good. So what, 8 days total?
8 days.
8 days. So, but it is Sunday, June 1st, 2025, and we're broadcasting from inside our secret bunker hidden within the shadow of the great Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, on a sunny and cool evening as we get ready to dive into haunted and cursed hotels. And then we're going to mix in some other topics like psychic vampires, spiritual warfare, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, as we are joined by author, experiencer, psychic, intuitive, and researcher, Gemma Jade. It's our sister from another mister who's joining us again. And we need to say this. Michelle and I have been so busy with the end of the year school stuff. We did not plan a guest for this evening. And I was like, Gemma, we got to get Gemma. Gemma will do it. Yeah, she'll do it. And thank God Gemma saved our butts for tonight. So, because we didn't even have anything planned in case we didn't have a guest.
I mean, we had some ideas that we were going to talk about.
But we just didn't have a lot of time this week to spend on show prep. So it's crazy the end of the school year for teachers, and some of you probably know this, and
award ceremonies.
It's crazy. It's graduations, it's award ceremonies,
packing up rooms.
Yeah, all of that. So anyways, go grab a drink, get a snack so you can settle in as we get ready to dive in with the paranormal diva. That's what I'm calling her now.
She needs to get a shirt made that says
"That's right,
Paranormal Diva." So remember, if you have a story that you would like to tell, or if you need to contact us at the show, please do so at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com.
That's right. Also, if you want to support the podcast, you can do so with PayPal Super Chats. Buy us a coffee. Click on our merchandise store, or just check out the Patreon. All of those links can be found below in the show description. If you do decide to become a YouTube member, as Michelle's head is fading away, because that thing is cutting off the top of your head.
Oh, my God, that's hilarious.
If you decide to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, you'll get a shout out from the one who's fading away into a portal right over there.
I guess I'm back.
Yeah. But anyways, you'll get a shout out during the intro and be listed in the credits at the end of the show as a thank you for your support. All right, Michelle.
Oh, guys, don't just click the like button. You need to smash that thing. So
now smash has different connotations to it, just so you know. Be careful.
Oh my God.
We are a PG show.
I didn't mean that kind of. Jesus. I can't do anything with him. So please click the like button ever so gently. Subscribe, share us out.
Yes.
Share.
Yep. And remember, you can also find this show on audio podcast, host everywhere. Look us up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, among others. Get over there and follow the audio version of the show and leave us a review. It helps us grow. And I've got some very cool news, I guess you could say, to share with you guys about that. So go ahead, Michelle.
Oh, no. Go ahead and talk about the reports that you pulled.
Oh, okay. So there's a new database out there called the Million Podcast, and they have a database of 2.5 plus million podcasts out there. And out of 2.5 million podcasts, as I rub my hands maniacally, out of the best 100 podcasts or paranormal podcasts, we are ranked number 39. Yay. Best 100 supernatural podcast, we are number 23. Out of the best 100 UFO podcasts, we're 39 yet again. Best alien podcast out of 100 podcasts out there about aliens, we're number 18 out of 2.5 million.
They like us, Wayne. They really like us.
I know. And then
Trying to remember what movie that came from.
The cryptid podcast out there, out of the top 100, we're number 74. So we got to pick up our game on.
And we've got some stuff coming up on cryptids.
Yeah.
Very, very close to us. In fact, that might be what
right.
we talk about next weekend.
So lots of work being done and lots of movement, and that's because of you guys. All right, let's be realistic. You got to give out props where props are due. It's all because of you guys sharing us out, following us on Spotify. Our Spotify numbers are growing like crazy, which is awesome, and we really appreciate you guys. But next Sunday, right now it's still in the works, and we'll just stay tuned for more information. Check out our Facebook group for news about who we're going to have on. We'll get somebody on here and have a great conversation for you guys. So, Michelle.
Yes, my background keeps eating my head.
I know.
I don't know what's up with that. I've never had that kind of problem. Look at this.
It's something to do with the light or something, maybe. But anyways, let's go ahead and bring on our sister from another mister, the paranormal diva. What else? Our Jersey Shore girl. And the mother of a child who's in deep trouble.
You will never see mom's laptop ever again.
That's right. Here we go. And it is Gemma Jade.
That poor kid. He's so scared right now. And it's like 30 seconds later. I'm like, it'll be okay. I just didn't have enough time to let him figure it out. He would have. But don't
take his gamer headphones from him.
These are actually mine, but I was going to. I'm like, where are your headphones? I'm texting him. Don't let your 6-year-olds use your laptops without supervision. I mean, it's kind of my fault, right? But I didn't expect to lose speaker, but we got it figured out, and I'm really happy. And you guys know I love being on here, so you can call me anytime, last minute, it don't matter. I will be here if it's humanly possible, because this show is just amazing. Michelle, I didn't get to tell you backstage because I was figuring the speaker thing out, but you looked so beautiful for prom. I was almost in tears. I'm like, they're so sweet. I'm like, I love them. So
yeah, I got to invite Michelle to the high school I teach at, the high school prom. So
yeah,
she said yes.
Yeah,
so.
He did it all through email.
I did.
Oh
I was testing it. I was doing makeup testing for the whole school, and he sent me an email asking me if I wanted to go to prom. My first response, really?
Yep.
You got lucky, Wayne.
Yep. So just a quick note for everybody who's watching right now and probably seeing us over on Gemma's page too. Gemma is streaming onto her site. So that's awesome. We absolutely love that. And now StreamYard allows you to do kind of like the Twitch thing, and all the chats show up on the screen now. So that's why you guys are seeing some of your chats being put up on the screen. And I believe it even is taking chats that we normally wouldn't see, like over on Gemma's YouTube page. It's putting it up on the whole thing. So yeah. So Gemma, what's been going on?
You know, same old stuff, just living in this paranormal world one day at a time. And I'm also gearing up for summer, but that's because I don't have a day camp for my little guy. So it's going to be a fun time this summer. But I kind of like I don't take the full summer off. You know, I still work as much as I can. But summer for us is just like our family time together. And for he and I to do lots of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it in one way. And then the other way, I'm like, I'm gonna miss my days for a couple of months because I get the whole day. But we end on June 20th. So also just gearing up for that, getting like back scripts ready. So I have videos to go for the channel in case I don't get to do anything one week. I don't want to leave myself in a lurch like last year. I just didn't work for 8 weeks. and my channel suffered tremendously, obviously. So I'm not letting that happen this year. I want to say hi to everybody, all my gemstones, people I don't know, people I only see sometimes, and my mom, she is my mom. She's very obvious under the name Mom. I don't know how she got that, but she did pop. Like, who gets Mom? Not Mom 1 or 0123. It's just Mom. She popped in to say hi. She's probably listening. She's not the best typer, but just want to acknowledge, I really appreciate you guys so much, because like Wayne and Michelle said, without you, we'd be all talking to ourselves. I mean, you guys have to show up and listen and support us and, interact. And I'm so grateful. I've really been feeling so grateful lately for the community that I work in.
Yeah. These people are great. I mean, Diane Boss is amazing. She's at all of these shows.
That's my homegirl.
Yep.
We text a lot.
You see Ghost Dragon out there, John Straw Dog. Man, just so many people. Kelly Lewis, Blue Crossroads. Again, Nathan from the Quantum Show. By the way, check out Nathan from the Quantum Show. Go check out his show for sure.
That's
really
good
show. Stuff. Yes. Yeah, interesting conversations. He's got a brain that just doesn't stop. He's constantly thinking about things, coming up with great ideas, and I love going into his chat and talking with him, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Question, Gemma, when did the schools get out down there, or are they already out?
My son's gets out June 20th, and we have a couple extra days because we had snow days without snow. But they go back the first week of September. It's always like September 6th or 7th, like the Monday after, I want to say Labor Day. I always get those holidays confused. But the Monday after, they're right back in. So I know a lot of schools got out and they're like, oh, it's like, no, we go back earlier than most people. So, I'm good with it. We get the nice warm months. I also want to tell you guys before I forget, if there's time, I love doing giveaways. I love bringing new people into what I do. So I'm going to give away a personal reading. Like I, try to give something. So maybe at the end, if there's time, or I'll just like pick a name out of random or whatever. Because I always end up bringing so many more people in, obviously putting my name out there, but we share kind of the same community. So I think it's cool. And I love doing the reading. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Just, remind us and we will definitely figure out something, but let's get started here. Let's dive in. So on Monday, June 2nd, for those of you listening at a different date or time, you're going to be releasing a new video about haunted and cursed hotels. Now, this is interesting because a couple weeks ago, Michelle and I, last week we had on Reverend Michael Carter from Ancient Aliens. The previous week, we did our own show talking about haunted and paranormal places here in Michigan. And we were talking about a hotel. And then come to find out you're doing something on haunted and cursed hotels and certain rooms within those hotels. What made you decide to investigate and make a video about that topic?
So as most of you know, every week I try, and I almost never miss, 11 a.m. Eastern, I pop out a pre-recorded video just to kind of get engagement up. I premiere it. Everyone can chat about it underneath. They go anywhere from literally 12 minutes to an hour. It really depends on the subject and how much time I had. The reason I decided to do, it's not just haunted hotels that I decided to do, it's haunted and cursed rooms. And this week it just happened, I started with hotels because that's the most obvious. One of the main reasons I decided to do that specific topic is because people always ask me, I won't say always. In the past few months, I've gotten a lot of emails of like, I never thought my house was haunted before, or my, place I work is haunted before, but there's this one place there's this one space, the basement, the attic, whatever it is, that just doesn't feel right, but it can't be haunted, right? Because that's only one, there's nothing else going on anywhere else. And I'm like, oh no, you misunderstand. It definitely can. It's not that room is haunted. It's the focal point for one of, 8 or 9 different reasons it could be. And I wanted to talk about that. And I usually do pick my subjects based on what I'm being asked about the most at any given time. And if there's nothing, I have a website I go to and kind of go through what they're talking about, because I'm a super fan of Nick Redfern, and I kind of jump on whatever bandwagon they're on. But normally it just comes from people asking me, it's always so surreptitious. You get the same question over and over again in a month, right? 10 people ask you the same thing. And it's like, oh, I can cover this with examples. So that's where that came from.
Have you had any personal experiences or any favorites that you were digging into that you investigated?
Well, as far as my research for the video, there, it's always, I don't want to say always, but in a lot of cases, when you look at this kind of stuff online, it's always like a murder happened in this room, or I like to look, and it's not that I don't have those in the video, because I do. It's just that they're very obvious. And I think people don't really understand like the more obscure reasons that something like this could happen. I mean, yes, somebody being murdered, either the victim or the killer could remain there. There could be a portal that just happens to be in that area. But really, there's just something sometimes about the energy of a specific space. And I like the more kind of understated stories where I have to think about it. Like, what do I think? My best guess, because I can't go to these places. Most of it happened in the past, but it's like my best guess. I really have to think about it or talk with my spirit guides and be like, why would something like this happen? It's so weird. The things that really make me look for more information. But one of the, and I'll tell it quick, one of the rooms that I discussed, I believe it's at the Hotel Colorado, where this very wealthy guy checked in with this beautiful kind of trophy wife or mistress. They weren't sure. And it was kind of normal. I believe it was like the early 1960s. And it was normal for this sort of clientele in that hotel. And the maid, for some reason, I don't know if she was drawn to do this or whatever, she ignored the do not disturb sign, didn't knock, and just walked into the room one day. It was like she was like almost compelled to just do this. And now with wealthy clientele, especially back then, that is a big no-no. And she did it anyway. She walked in to see a bundle of bloody sheets with something underneath on the bed. And the guy, like half naked, covered in blood, and he looks at her with his bloody finger and goes, and it's just creepy, right? Like this dude's covered in blood. And so anyway, he grabs the bundle and leaves. That spirit obviously haunts the hotel, but they still don't know. They never knew who the woman was. They never got fingerprints. And back in the 60s, there was no DNA or even blood typing, right? Nobody matching her description had been reported missing. They still don't know who she is, where she came from, or what happened to her body. The only body parts they found were the stuff that he tried to flush down the toilet. So that's an obvious one, right? Like this spirit, and it's not a vengeful spirit, but she likes to mess with people, whispering in their ears, and they'll hear her crying. And that's that led me to talk a little bit about bringing the light to earthbound spirits, and understanding that they're not all here to be menacing, even if they died in a violent way. Some of them are really just very confused and lost. I run into more dead people who don't know they're dead than anything else.
What do they think? Do they think they're still alive and moving around? I mean,
time
among the living?
Time works differently on the other side, right? So they phase in and out. There's no real other side to go to. So they go to, I guess, it's kind of hard to explain it, but like a place where there is no time. So they don't really know they're there. It's almost like going to sleep. And then once they come out of this kind of sleep state, they're back where they last remember being, but they're looking around. Like, for example, for her, if she doesn't remember being murdered, where is my husband? Where did he go? What is all this blood around here? What's wrong with my arm? And they relive this over and over and over. And it's very confusing. Then you have people coming in and out. A lot of the time, if they don't know that they've passed, they'll be, trying to turn lights on, do whatever they can, not realizing that's what they're doing to get your attention because they are very confused and very scared. The light only stays normally for about 72 hours. And after that, you kind of have to become cognitively aware of it in death to bring it to you, or have someone like me come in and bring it. So if they miss that period where they don't even notice it because they don't understand what's going on, it could be detrimental to their afterlife, and it's so sad. I'm like tearing up thinking about it because it's so sad,
Yeah. And Joe Stewart from chat says the only haunted hotel that he knows of is in Oakland County, Michigan, is the Holly Hotel. Just never been there. There's actually quite a few.
Oh, Joe, I did. I found a really cool website that pulls up at least 20 or more haunted hotels
and lighthouses
in Michigan and lighthouses.
Yeah.
But Mackinac Grand Hotel on the island.
Yep, Mackinac
So-
Island haunted, South Manitou Island. That whole place is haunted, especially the lighthouse is haunted. There was in like the 1870s, there was a family living in the lighthouse, a man and his wife and their infant son, and a storm had rolled in, and they were trying to go from the island in a rowboat, in a small boat, from the island back to the mainland of Michigan, and the boat capsized, and they had all three of them perished. And so people say that they see a small a small child walking around on the island, and just all kinds of things. So yeah.
Then there's the stories of room 418 at the Henry, and the Henry is where
yeah,
we
in
just were
Dearborn.
for that prom.
Yeah, we
Well, oh really? That's where you guys
Yeah.
went?
yeah.
That's where we were.
Because I was going to say, hotels are like magnets for that type of thing, right? You never know the energy of someone going in there. You don't know what they're doing. Back in my addiction, hotels were like my meeting spot. You know what I mean? You don't know. And even if someone's not doing anything bad, meaning like, murderous or anything like that, like the energy around someone who's, say, addicted or in, I don't know if I could say prostitution, but in prostitution, that type of energy, the type of demonic energy or lower vibrational, it literally will like stain the walls, and that's why hotels are magnets for that. And that's why I wanted to focus so badly on rooms. I have clients who I'm like, this is all, I'll have them walk me through video around their house, not tell me anything. And I'll be like, downstairs bathroom, upper right-hand corner. And they're like, whoa, like, yeah, everything seems to happen in the bathroom. Sometimes that's just where the energy kind of is. And that's a lot of the reason why if you start renovating a house, you're knocking a wall down, boom, you're like letting off an explosion of energy in all directions, not to mention, bugging whatever spirits are there, because there are spirits around us all the time. A lot of them realize what's going on. They just choose not to interact. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. I mean, they're literally everywhere. I don't go a day without seeing any. I don't go a day without seeing 50, and that's even just being in my own house and looking out the window. So it's such a complicated thing, and it's hard to explain, but I think a lot of people miss the point. Like a haunted hotel, the Cecil, for example, that whole place is just under attack and like overrun. But in places like the Alaska Hotel I talk about in the video and the Colorado, it's some areas where like it'll seep into the hallway. You might see, the ghost of the woman or the Alice lady at the Alaska, but mainly it's in that room because that's where that energy has seeped into the walls. A lot of the time, like with the Cecil, it's in the dirt, it's in the ground, it's in the property.
Dude, that's my next thing. I've got the video and everything set up for you on the Cecil, talking about the Cecil with Elisa Lamb.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Remember I covered her and I was talking to you guys about it?
Okay, that was you. Okay.
That was me right before I covered her, and we were talking. You're like, oh, I gotta look that up, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta look into this. This is insane. And they're saying she had a manic episode and jumped in, and I'm like, that didn't happen though. That didn't happen.
I want to have you watch the surveillance video that I found.
I would love to. Yeah.
So we'll dive into that.
I wanted to do that for my video, but it's just me. I'm not technical at all. So I didn't know how to put it up. So that would be actually cool to do that later.
Yeah. All right. Shoot, there was something I was going to ask you, but I see that we have it just took me by surprise because I'm looking at my notes here and I'm like, oh yeah, Elisa Lamb at the Cecilia Hotel, or Cecil? Is it Cecil? Cecil Hotel out in LA. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. But Sir Brian Bowden asked, he says that he's had several sessions where he's an empath and a remote viewer, and has some psychic abilities as well. Also a Knight Templar, and a good friend of our shows. And by the way, his show is Third Eye Live. Everybody look him up. Get over there and subscribe to his show. Great conversations, great friends, a good part of the community. But he says he's had several sessions where he sees a significant earthquake in the New York City area. What's your thoughts on this?
So that's definitely very interesting, and I'm sure kind of frightening right? I would ask a few follow-up questions. You don't have to answer because I do have like a
Well,
kind
it's
of answer
interesting
for
to go
you.
through your thought process with us.
Yes.
So,
Okay. So
yeah.
the first thing I would ask is, what was your intention when you went into that meditation? Were you trying to look at future events? Were you just going into a nice, calm meditation? Like, what intention did you set? Because I used to accidentally remote view. I haven't done it on purpose in so long, but I remember there having to be an intention, right? So I would ask that. And then I would also, wonder, or I would ask you, if this were to be a prophetic vision, would there be anyone you would be able to talk to, or anything you could do to kind of prove it to yourself? Right? So there has to be a reason you're seeing this. When we remote view, we don't make it up in our head. It's what's there, right? Remotely. But I would also say, more than likely, in cases I've seen of this, it's where you're accidentally viewing a separate timeline. So this happened a lot to me during the election, and I'm not getting political. I saw if one party won, and then I would slip into a timeline of if the other party won. And sometimes you're seeing other timelines, and that's what it is most of the time, where it's like, this is what happened at some point in New York City on some timeline. It's very rare for it to be what will happen, but I would look at, like, find someone to help, like with weather patterns, like if you really wanted to dive deep on that. But I would say you're seeing other timelines. Now, if you see other timelines and you know that that's what it is a lot, I would be careful, because we can easily shift timelines and not realize it for years. And you don't want to end up doing that, because when it hits you one day, a decade, down the line, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what happened to a lot of us with the 2012 timeline, it's devastating. But I would say more than likely it's not a prophetic vision, but it very well could be. So if there's any way you can find out, like, is that a risk for that area in the next 5 years or whatever? Just
he says
instant
no.
downloads.
Yeah, no intention, just got instant downloads. First, then I remote viewed it. Yeah.
I would say it's probably a different timeline, but again, if you can, look at, again, weather patterns, I don't know, but to see if it's something that could possibly happen. Because if it's a prophetic vision, right? If it's something prophetic that you're viewing, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, isn't going to give you that access if you could just sit around and watch. There would have to be some connection you have, or that you would be able to make, to either stop it or at least warn people, right? So he also said, when I get instant downloads, it's always spot on. And I understand too how jarring instant downloads can be, not because I get them, but because when I meet certain types of dead people, I'm immediately thrown back into their death as if I'm them, and everything happening to them, I feel, I see, I emote, right? I am them in the moment of death. And it's terrifying. It took me years to figure out how to get that kind of under control and keep the pain to a minimum. Especially, obviously, a lot of the times it'll happen with like a murder victim or someone who unalived themselves. But I would definitely say there has to be a connection, or you can make, or something you can do if it's prophetic. And that would be the way I would figure it out. Is there something I could do about this should it happen in the next 5 years? More than likely, you're starting to see other timelines. Maybe you've always seen them. Just be careful if you start seeing them more and more frequently. I know you can't help it or control it, but there's got to be a way. And I'm always willing to help if you email me, if that becomes a problem and you want to maybe connect with your guides or your main guide and find out how to, like, maybe not stop the remote viewing if it's something you enjoy and you love doing, but maybe to stop skipping timelines like that.
Yeah, and I want to add in something from a scientific standpoint, and I would ask Brian, are you sure it was New York City and maybe not a different city? And the reason I ask that is because right along the Mississippi River, and it's no surprise that the Mississippi River follows a fault line, and it's it's called the New Madrid seismic zone. And they are monitoring all kinds of new little earthquakes that are happening underneath the Mississippi River. And this was one of the most like dark and destructive early in the 1800s, I want to say, earthquakes. 1811, as I look at the notes here, on December 16th, 1811, and February 7th, 1812. It was a set of earthquakes that hit, and they were about magnitude 7.0. And it was so vicious underneath the Mississippi River that the Mississippi River actually changed its direction of flow. And instead of heading south, it went back north. So you had a complete reversal of the flow of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
Different. Yeah. And it seems to be active again. And so my thought is, you could be looking at a major city in Tennessee, in Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, Chicago, something like that. And so I would just point that out.
And also, just one more thing on that, you got to remember too, a lot of the times we see these things and they're what could happen, right? Because any person's decision at any given time can change anything. And that's why I always tell the people I read for, I can give you 99% certainty, but you have the free will to change anything I'm telling you, good or bad, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So you could be possibly seeing something, a warning of what could happen. The only thing with that is it's so like kind of sand through your fingers, right? Like, what do you do with that? Okay, so this might happen. I just live in fear for the next 2 months. I would definitely need to know more about your spiritual process and all of that. I would say don't worry too much about it. You don't want to manifest or will anything into happening, but also be mindful of the energy around you. You're obviously a big sensitive, right? And probably will figure out something's going to happen long before, even without the vision. So be very, very careful and keep yourself safe and protected.
Yeah.
I live in New Jersey, so that kind of scares me a little bit. Northern New Jersey too. So I'm about 40 minutes away from the city right now, but where I was born and raised, it's like a 15-minute train ride.
Hey, quick segue. The Jersey drone situation. What's going on there? Because I saw an interesting report today about Ukraine loading up a bunch of semi trucks with Russian truckers, and they drove these canisters full of drones into the heartland of Russia, and these drones went and attacked a air base where they had their big heavy, I think they're the TU, some kind of super bomber kind of, right? That was a strategic bomber of some type, and they blew them all up with these little drones that launched out of the tops of these semi trucks. So the drone warfare is 100% going on. And I was thinking, all those drones and stuff people were reporting in New Jersey makes me wonder if somebody was doing the same thing to us, except they just didn't pull the trigger. It might have been a warning or something along those lines.
Or to see like if they, how to operate it or what the ramification, like whatever. With me, I don't watch or read the news. It causes me such great anxiety. And if somebody happens to have been like shot in a drive-by and I'm watching that on TV, that guy or that woman or man will like appear like, hey, and I'm like, I don't want to watch the news anymore, right? But I do know, and I just saw them again today. First of all, we have 3 sinkholes that just like randomly happened on our highway within like, a 2-week period here, which is like clogging up traffic. But I've been seeing a lot of military trucks. They're the trucks, and I know nothing about cars, but they're the trucks with like the covers over the back, but you can see like it's clearly military, and they're just traveling up and down the highways a lot. Today I saw 2 of them pull in tandem into a gas station randomly. I live in a very little, it's actually a very big town, but little town and kind of like right near the border of Pennsylvania. So it's unusual for me to see things like that in my town. And it makes me a little nervous, especially with everything that happened with the drones, but I don't stay up on that type of stuff because it will cause me such great anxiety. I'll start asking spirit for answers and then I'll get them, and then things will change because of free will. It never serves me well. Never.
Yeah. So is there any latest news or anything that you can talk about on the drones at all? Have you heard anything, rumblings?
The only
Usually
thing
people
I
know more
know,
than the
yeah,
media.
so I know that they were saying that, oops, they were in fact ours. They were from some military base, or, and they were just confused because so many, something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, but like so many of us citizens had them that they all BS, obviously, right? They're never going to tell us the truth. They're never going to give us disclosure. So I don't really listen again to much of what they say, but that's the explanation as far as what I've heard most recently, which was about a month or two ago, which is like, stop panicking. We told y'all like it was our mistake. How does the military mistakenly not know where their drones are, which drones are theirs? Why were they peeking into people's windows, right? A lot of it was
What were
hoax.
they spraying? That's what I want to know.
And that too, right? I think about that all the time because let me tell you something. I never get sick. And I know being a medium, it's really hard on our energy. And I knew as I got older, I would start getting sick more and more. A lot of mediums don't live past a certain age, but I'm not getting that kind of sick. I'm getting like, I had the flu last week. It's springtime. It's been 50 something degrees. We had 2 warm spring days. And I'm wondering, I live in the middle of the forest and they were spraying and it's, are they really spraying for lantern flies? I get text messages in the morning like, oh, sprayed for lantern flies again. Wait inside your house for your kid's bus. Really? Really? Because it's raining. So how are we spraying for lantern flies? There is some weird stuff happening. Again, particularly I've noticed, or I guess I can only notice where I live and in the surrounding areas. I believe if something were to come out of that and we were to get any kind of disclosure, it's going to come from a citizen. And I do think it's going to start here. I think there's something about this area of the country, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. There's just something about this spot that produces these things. And we're definitely not quiet people. We're not ones to like go back inside and mind our own business in New Jersey. We're just not. We are literally the loudmouths of the country. So I think that may be it too. Like we're a place where if we see something, we're going to definitely say something and report it, which is why you saw so many videos coming out of here. So I think if something were to happen, again, with disclosure or with something bigger than us, extraterrestrial specifically, I do think that it would happen somewhere here. It's very highly populated and it's definitely, regardless of where it comes from, that's my point in a roundabout way. Straight into the point, it's not coming from the government because they never tell the truth about anything.
Look, everybody knows that the mainstream media is bought and paid for it. I'm not telling any conspiracy theories or anything like that. If you don't think that it's all a rigged game and has been since the end of World War II, and how the government has been run and taken over, and all of their little, their mockingbird, things that they put into place, CIA agents working for the newspapers and all this. Dude, come on. No, I think that's why they want the big push for AI and stuff. They want to stage this fake crap yet again and make you stay in your house and live in a virtual world.
Yeah.
And
AI
it's
scares
horrible.
the poop out of me. It really does. Not to mention, I tell you guys all the time, I lost my dang job because of AI. And many writers, especially freelancers on YouTube's or ghost writers like myself, have lost our jobs. But I recently saw, and this is kind of a segue, just really quick, a woman or a family, their loved one was murdered. And you know how you give like the witness statement? What is it called?
Yeah.
The impact statement in court. Mm-hmm. They took the man, the woman, it was her brother. She took his likeness and made him in AI on a video. And he talked about, well, I didn't get to grow old because I was murdered, but here's what I might have done with my life. He gave his own victim impact statement. I'm only 42 years old and I am so terrified of AI. I know my kids are like, you sound like an old fogey. I'm like, well, maybe I am because I am scared. I'm scared.
Well, here's the thing too, and to piggyback off of that, and then we'll get back on track here because we could go down these rabbit holes all night. But you can now pay a service. If you have a recording of one of your loved ones who's passed away, all they need is a couple words, and they can recreate the voice and have it call you, set up a phone number that you can call and talk to the dead relative so you can hear the voice again. They started this in Japan a few years ago, and now that's going to be rolling out. I mean, my God. Like
They
that
had it
is
with Dark
just-
Mirror or Black Mirror. It's called. They had an episode where they sent you like this body that you soak in the tub, and what they do is they have this chip in the head of the body. It looks exactly like your deceased loved ones, and they take all like their emails, their whole entire online social media presence, and put it into the computer in the head, and then it's like you get your I don't know. Oh, creepy. Yeah. I know we can talk all night about literally anything, but it is so creepy, and that is our future. We are living in the Jetsons. I'm just saying.
So let's go back to the haunted hotels, because that seems like a more cheerful thing to talk about.
Right? Somehow.
Yeah. So in these haunted places, these entities, are they trapped spirits? What has your experience been? Are they trapped spirits? Are they dark? Are they evil? Are they ghost? And how do these entities infiltrate like everyday spaces? And by the way, I have to say I 100,000% agree with you with the energy that happens within these hotels. Right? There's a lot of sexual energy that's going on there. Let's be realistic, right? You have people meeting up and sliding left or right or whichever way they have to slide. Prostitution. You have drug use, addiction. So there's a lot of energy that is released into these areas, and that's not even counting for the land that this hotel might be built on, or what's underneath it. Is it quartz? Is it some type of crystal or something like that? So 100%.
Yeah, that's one of the things, right? It really depends, because there are so many different reasons. A lot of the time, again, if someone's murdered, or even if they unalive themselves, a lot of the time, the shock of kind of leaving the body, and they'll stay there. They won't realize that they passed, therefore they won't even really be able to acknowledge the light, right? Whereas most people, the light follows them, they go to their funeral, and then they're gone. And they can come back and visit you, but they're off the earthly plane. It's also can be, and I believe this is a lot of it again. So let's take the Cecil Hotel, for instance. That place is evil in the core of the building. It doesn't matter if you made a Christian or any kind of church, out of that building. There is going to be evil there. It has permeated. And this came from not only the addicts on Skid Row right outside, but a lot of people in addiction, and I was one of them, so I do feel comfortable speaking on this, and I've seen it in my own family with people who are addicted and what's attached to most addicts. You've got these demons running around, and as people pass away, or as they, get out of the area, as they get clean, as they move on, they're like wandering around looking for the next person. Happy-go-lucky, very clean-cut, even keel, regular people will be like perfect for one of them. So think about all of that in the area, the murders, all of just the sadness, the negativity. When it permeates a building like that, you can knock the building. It's the land. I mean, I would literally burn it all down and leave the ash, right? And I would never step there again, because it is very dangerous, evil, and demonic. It lures people like Richard Ramirez, the other guy, the other serial killer from Austria. He was there. He was there writing a piece about prostitutes, and he ended up murdering the prostitutes in the hotel room. But it really depends on a case-to-case basis. Most spirits don't choose to stay here, but I have seen cases where they will. They're either a dark spirit, meaning they didn't have any light. And when you have no light and you're born, you're automatically reborn. There's no afterlife for you. Therefore, when you're born, there's no connection to spirit or the creator or the universe. There's no connection to the collective, whatever you want to call that. You're just literally alone on this earth. And usually you end up living a very negative life. And you will do this incarnation after incarnation after incarnation. those are the only types of people, or people who are afraid of judgment, that purposely will stay behind. I've seen little children stay behind because they're searching for their parent who maybe passed with them, and I've reunited them. That's happened a couple of times, and brought the light and crossed them both over, or the whole family. It really does depend. And there are so many different things. Then you have portals. I've seen places like a hotel, actually right here where I live, where there's just like a revolving, that conveyor belt at the airport. There's just one of those of dead people. They just go in and out all day, round and round. They're lost. They're in what I think most people would call purgatory, but it's not a religious thing. They're just stuck. They don't have the ability to acknowledge the lights, that they're deceased. They're kind of just like a zombie walking around, and it'll take something to spark that memory of being alive, of life, of light, of Jesus, if they were Christian, or whatever it was they believed in here. And that could take millennia, or it could be very short. So it really, really does depend. And I always take it on a case by case basis. It's like the reason for any place to be haunted. It's always different.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, and again, thank you, Gemma, for pulling it together to come on the show.
No, of course. I just don't want to blow my nose on air.
Well, you have been extremely sick, like you were talking about, and we can't thank you enough, and glad you could join us and hang out with us tonight. So, and thank you, good watchers and listeners out there. Thank you for joining us on Gemma's channel and on our channel. So make sure you're hitting that like, share, and subscribe. And good night to Ghost Dragon. I see that you have to
leave. Where's he going?
I don't know. He's going somewhere. But
all right, I'll let him go this time.
All right. So what about paranormal hotspots in hotels? Have you noticed any, like, besides the rooms, are there certain areas or things like mirrors, elevators, basements, certain lobbies that seem to have energy in these entities?
Mirrors are a big one. Again, in addiction, I've been to some more seedier hotels, alone doing my thing. And I did notice, like, one I went, and it was all mirrored out, right? This place like hadn't been remodeled since the 70s. There's mirrors on the ceiling, mirrors all over the walls. And that does attract a certain kind of energy. If you put mirror to mirror, you actually have a portal in between those mirrors, right? Mirrors are absolutely portals, and they will be used first and foremost by any spirit, whether it be higher vibrational or lower. So I do notice a lot of activity does focus around mirrors in a lot of different hotels. A lot of the old-timey hotels that have hauntings, or even businesses, Bobby Mackey's, for example. I know a lot of people don't believe that place is haunted, but I'm telling you, it is. And it does start in the well that's underneath. These to us, okay, it's just a well, close it up. It's just an old well. Or the Amityville house allegedly had, something in the wall. There have been so many houses where right up the street from me, actually, they knocked down an old house from like the 1700s. Within the walls of this big palatial mansion was another house. There was another house with boarded up windows, not a giant house, but it was like a little 1-bedroom shack that was in one of the walls of this mansion. It's the way they built things back then. You've got to think about energy. People say feng shui. It is a real thing, no matter what you want to call it. So anything with like mirrors, I even now, like in my own home, and I know there's nothing here because I work on keeping nothing here. I don't like looking in mirrors. It's terrifying. So yeah, I would say basements, and it really, again, depends on the age. The older something is, the more, of course, it's going to have the ability to be haunted, or the more likely it's haunted, because it's older, more energy, more things have happened there. And it's the way they built things back then, taking land from people. They weren't very careful with equipment. So building the hotel, people were dying, and they were turning the hotels into hospitals. But I would say, other than, really paying attention, if you feel you're in a haunted room, cover up the mirror. I'm telling you, cover the mirrors. If you even feel the slightest thing is off, close the curtain so you can't even see the mirror image of the window. Because I'm telling you, I don't know many hotels or motels that don't have some kind of activity connected to them. It's almost like hotels themselves are congregating points.
Yeah. I don't like basements very much, and
Me either.
it kind of makes sense because, well, I like our basement here. But I'm talking like a parking structure, hotel type
Yeah.
of basement. I mean, you're going down in the ground. You're surrounding yourself with the ground, at very deep levels, and
The
that's the
energy of
ground. Yes.
dirt, of the earth, and whatever is happened to be, if there's a hotel, say within 3 miles, or your home within 3 miles of a cemetery where bodies are buried underground, that energy does flow through. Energy flows through dirt, which is why I recommend to my clients, stand barefoot outside under the moonlight and naked if you can. All right, not if you're going to get arrested, and pantomime taking a shower in the moonlight, because the energy is going to come up through your feet and you're going to feel absolutely amazing. But think about what's buried 3 miles away. It travels energy. I just wish that more people can see day to day just what is randomly going on. There's always dead around
Yeah.
you guys. I mean, there just is. It's creepy, but it's just a part of life, really.
Yeah. So before we switch a little bit into some little bit of different topics here, we talked a little bit about the Cecil Hotel
Mhm.
and the story of Lisa Lamb, and we talked about that on a different show. I dug into it, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a great conspiracy theory, horrible incident that happened. But on February 19th of 2013, a Canadian tourist named Elisa Lamb, her body was found floating inside a water tank at the Cecil Hotel where she was staying that she was staying at. Now, by the way, I just have to tell you that the water tank was up on the roof. Okay, so getting access to go on the roof of a hotel is not necessarily easy. You need, you got to have keys to get up there and all that.
This hotel did have key card access, and it rang an alarm at the front desk. A lot of people say, no, that's not true. Yes, it is. I investigated it. I actually spoke to people who worked there at the time. The alarm did work. And if you open the door without a key, there was no way to get there through like the fire escape. So that was a big thing for me when I first heard it.
And so they said that her body was found floating inside of a water tank. This is horrible. And it was after guests, so they went and checked the water tank.
Ugh.
After guests complained about the water pressure and taste. Okay.
So they were showering and drinking this water. I don't drink tap water, that's why.
Yeah. Nah, I don't either. So footage was released of her behaving erratically in an elevator on the day she was last seen alive. So I'm going to show this because they tried to say that that this has to do with bipolar. And this is used for educational purposes, free use,
entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment, right? Talking. Right. So this is the surveillance video, and I think this was originally released on CBS. So watch this, and you guys tell me if this looks like somebody who's bipolar, maybe having a manic episode, but I don't think so. That's her. And she's like hitting all of the buttons in the elevator. You see the door starts to close and then it opens and it stays open.
She is a victim of a demonic entity.
And you can see now she looks. So for people that are listening to this, she stepped out of the elevator really quick and she looked left and right down the hallway. And now she's hiding up against the wall of the elevator.
But honestly, for me, this was playful energy. When you see in a little bit, she shows like sexual flirting in the video. I've spoken with her when I was researching her story.
See, now she's stepping into the hallway, looking back and forth. Steps out, sidesteps for a minute, seems like she's looking at something, takes a weird stepping pattern.
She's like in step, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like a box step.
Like a box step, right? Now, what she does right here is where I go, oh no, there's something there. She's interacting with something. Right about, she's still outside the elevator in the hallway, but you can only see like part of her arm, part of her dress. And she comes back in. She's like, oh my God. She's pushing buttons again. Now she steps back in the hallway, steps off to the side, almost like she knows she's being watched. And now she's talking to something and laughing and petting something inside the doorway of the elevator. And she's like having a conversation with somebody. It almost looks like she's doing sign language, don't it?
I wonder if she hit the button to keep those doors open on the elevator too.
It's possible. You can see they're all lit up on that panel. And then she walks off and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But where is it? Right here. Right here. She's talking to something inside the elevator and she's like doing a hand motion like she's petting something. There is something that's going on there. It's not, I don't know. I can't.
And as soon as she walks off, the elevator finally closes, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, she was standing there.
They don't show that. They don't show that on this one.
In the one that's a tiny bit longer, as soon as she walks off, within like 10 seconds, the elevator closes. And I believe when it opens again, there's a different color scheme in the background. So it went to a different floor.
Okay.
She was, I believe, immediately attacked by a demonic entity with sexual intent the minute she went into the Cecil, because she had some issues in the original room she was put in. She was staying in a shared room. And she's, because of her erratic behavior, she was moved into a room of her own. She was leaving little notes saying, get out of here, go home. Nobody wants you here, all around the room for the two roommates she was supposed to be staying with. She was locking them out. And when they tried to get in, she would have the chain on and she'd be like, what's the password? She was just behaving bizarrely, leaving her stuff a mess, being all over everyone's stuff. I believe she was lured. I believe the elevator, she was being flirty and playful. I know she looks scared at first glance, but the more you watch that, and when you start thinking, okay, what could it be that she's doing? I believe she was intentionally, as you said, keeping the elevator door open because she was waiting for this entity, which she more than likely did not know was an entity, because everyone who saw her inside the Cecil was talking about how she was like behaving mentally and how she wasn't right and there was something wrong with her. Everyone who saw her outside, including the woman, the last person to see her was the owner of a bookstore. The day she disappeared, the day she ended up in the water tank. And she said she was happy-go-lucky and talking about, she didn't want to buy too many books because she had to travel with them. And so anybody outside was like perfectly normal girl, happy-go-lucky, nice. Although she did get kicked out of, I believe it was David Letterman. She went to watch a taping of David Letterman or some show like that. And she got kicked out for behaving erratically, but nobody ever said what the erratic behavior was. I believe she was under attack. Her energetic senses must have been down. She was diagnosed bipolar, I believe, at some point, but reports on that go back and forth. And I did a really long, deep dive, intensive video into this, guys. And I also covered it in, I believe, my last Gone book, Gone 5. But I believe she was attacked and she was lured. And there's just no other explanation for me. How did she get up there? How did she close that heavy lid? How'd she lift that heavy lid? She was teeny tiny. The season American Horror Story Hotel was actually, he saw that elevator footage and was like, we got to do something about a hotel. And that's where it came from. No Elisa Lam, no hotel AHS, you know.
Well, there was
Yeah.
also the Netflix show. There's a
Yes.
four-part series on that case. I think it's called True Crime or something like that.
I used it in my
And-
research. Yeah.
Did
It's
you?
very
Okay.
in-depth. But
Yeah.
they leave you with, oh, she had a bipolar episode. Listen, to get up there, first of all, I believe they're locked. It was very, very high up. The maintenance man, the day when the police came to check the water tanks, he needed a ladder and a key to get up there. Not to mention, she wouldn't have been able to close it in on herself, and she wouldn't have fit through like the hole that was it. There are too many coincidences for me, and I don't really believe in coincidence anyway, especially not when it comes to the paranormal. So, you know,
Well, let's see.
it's a shame what happened to her.
Yeah. Yeah. It's horrible. Where is it? Oh, here we go. This right here. So this is her. This is I'm going to turn off chat for a minute on the screen so you guys can see. This is Elisa Lam. There's the water tanks on the roof of the building. Now, you see those doors, right?
Mhm.
They're really small. I mean, I guess somebody could get in there. There's a ladder there, but she would have to climb up that ladder and unlatch those. I'm sure they're locked. I mean, we
Is
can't
that
tell
a
from
ladder
inside.
that's always there, though? Not to interrupt you, but
Mhm.
because I remember specifically that the maintenance had to bring a ladder to access the water tank. So I'm wondering if those ladders or that ladder is even always there.
Yeah, that's a good point. But this is one thing I wanted to show everybody was this right here. Large hole cut by rescue workers to remove the body. So they cut into the side of the tank where her body was to get her out. So why didn't they drain the tank? Why didn't they just go down into the top, right here? Because it's too small. I mean, that would be my guess, that they would have to cut a hole into there. So how in the heck did she get into? It's very bizarre. And I was researching this, and you're doing this hotels video coming up, and it's just really bizarre. Really
it's
bizarre.
in the chat too, though, with the water, she became bloated.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So there's no way that she would have, came out the same way that she went in.
Yeah, that's probably
That's
possible.
true too.
Yeah.
But even so, like, what? I don't know. I just don't see
It don't make
someone. Yeah, no, none of it makes sense. And I don't see someone being like, oh, I'm going to go for a swim in the water tank. Like, who's even thinking of the water tanks? She was, and you can believe me or not, and that's okay. You know, I never, it doesn't offend me. But she was lured there by something akin to an incubus, in my opinion, and from all of the research that I've done. And it's really a shame. She was attacked because she was alone, she was vulnerable, and she was not medicating the mental illness or illnesses that she was said to have, even though, from what I understood, some doctors said she was bipolar and needed medication, and some said she wasn't. And there was the family didn't speak much afterwards, so there was never much of like definitive answers from them. Did she have bipolar? Was she on medications? The sister said she was taking 4. They were found in the room but not found in her system. So
yeah,
you can never know. But it is really sad, such a young life. But I don't know if, I mean, you could probably pay me enough money, but it would be a lot to get me to go to even near
that
this
place,
diesel.
Yeah. And Brian says here, she had a supernatural experience. This kind of marries up to what you were just saying. She had a supernatural experience with something that first appeared as a child and quickly became evil and aggressive. So yeah, some type of an attachment, maybe some type of.
Well, that's normally how demons do appear at first. And that's probably the playfulness. But then I actually spoke to a body language expert that I saw analyze the elevator footage on YouTube, and I was like, this looks more flirty to me. It looks like childish, and then all of a sudden the putting the hair behind the ear, it's like it's flirty, you know. And they were like, yeah, it's like she was flirting, and it's like, wow, this thing appeared to her, this thing befriended her, then it seduced her, and then it overtook her. And it doesn't happen often that a demon that's attached to you, even addiction demons, but every once in a while they will end up being able to kind of torment you after death or keep you in a place. I pray that she's not still there. I try to send, you know, light out into the world for people like that. You know, I had someone very close to me OD in a hotel room in Ohio. I can't get there to go see if he's still there, but I know he hasn't come visit me yet. So I pray and hope that at the very least she wasn't left. I've seen so many hauntings where like the dead people, they want to talk to me, but they'll like say one word and then be like, oh, and get scared and run off. There's usually a demonic or very lower vibrational something or other there keeping them terrified and quiet. And unless you get rid of that thing, and I think the Cecil more than likely has many of them.
Yeah. Just real quick, I see there's a lot of people watching over on Gemma's channel. If you are putting chats into her live chat on her channel, it's not going to show up on the live chat on my channel. So
I'll go look at them tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, I know Diane was saying, you know, nobody's responded to her. Well, they're not showing up over here if you're watching over on Gemma's live stream of this show. So that's why. So if you're watching over there, it will come through to our StreamYard chat, but it won't go into our YouTube chat. So you'll see it on the screen as you're watching the show, but I just wanted to make that clear for everybody. It's not like anybody is being ignored. We're watching and juggling everything. So speaking of these entities, Gemma, and what you were just saying about, you know, being left behind and things like that.
Yeah.
Can these spirits and entities be helped and moved on? And how does that process work?
Yeah, so I mentioned to you, I've had so many people in the past couple months ask me about that. There was some Netflix thing that came out that was showing a woman doing that. It was something that took me quite a while to learn, and even more time to do because it's so overwhelming. Even in my Friday night oracle, I cry a lot and I tear up because the energy of like light and love that comes from the other side is so much and so beautiful. And depending how close you are, if I'm reading for you, it's overwhelming for a human being to be in the presence of, let alone have to absorb it. So normally it takes some talking to the spirit. They're afraid to move on, or, you know, you have to convince them they're dead. But once you finally get to that point, it's really, honestly, we could all do it. It's about using your light source and your light energy, mainly your heart energy, and pulling it in. And I mean real strong, like really focusing on pulling lights and love and peace, ball of gold and or white energy. And what I will do, and everyone does this differently, is I'll pull it all from my toes to the top of my head and culminate it all right about here. And I will ask them if they're ready to cross over. And what I'll do is I'll release it. And the strangest thing, once I started doing this more and more, now it's like once I release it, it's the light. Like you can tell, like it's no longer coming from me. It's like I just kind of redirected the energy and called something's attention to the fact that the spirit now wants to move on. I've never done it without being so overwhelmed, and it's almost like a feeling of being high, and then the next like 3 days I'm sick. But it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. Especially, you know, one time it was a daughter and father. They had been killed together accidentally in an accident. I don't remember if it was like a tree fell on them, something, and they were looking for one another, but they were so just unaware of what had happened, and they just didn't see each other. They crossed each other many times, but I was able to connect them and move them on. And it's beautiful and wonderful. Again, we can all do it. But the danger comes when you're dealing with something lower vibrational, evil, demonic, etc., that's trying to convince you it's a formerly human spirit, and you try to bring light to it, right? You can end up being seriously injured. You really, really have to know what you're dealing with. And you really, really have to believe in what you're doing. If you, for instance, don't have any faith at all, like you don't even believe in the universe, right, as an organism of light, then you probably wouldn't be able to do it. But as light beings, we can all do it. I just wouldn't recommend it unless you're trained and can communicate with the spirits. A lot of them get angry. I'm not dead. Stop saying that. I'm not dead. Adamant, and they can become violent unintentionally because with that lack of awareness comes a lack of control of their energy. So a lot of the time, I'll have something thrown at me, or, it's almost like you see in movies where like the teenager stomps their feet and then the lights start flickering on. It's that kind of stuff that happens, and you can end up getting really hurt. But once you do it, it is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced involving my abilities. I wish that I can do it for every single lost soul on the planet.
What do you do if they do get violent? How do you protect yourself?
So you can't force them, you've got to really make sure, I've got to really make sure that that's what they want. And really be adamant about it. It's a lot of it is comforting them, telling them, there's no judgment and you're going to be okay. You'll be reunited with your family, being very patient, which with human beings, I have no patience, but with spirit, I have, patience for days. The way I protect myself is when I'm doing something like that, I definitely call in my spirit team, my angels, ancestors, deceased loved ones, my guides, my main spirit guide, my boy, Aaron, he's always there. And Archangel Michael is really kind of imperative to that work. I know he's the warrior angel, but for me, that's the angel I most work with. Could be anyone that the person with the abilities, the medium, the psychic, whatever, works with. That's who I choose to work with. And having him around as a protector, there's almost no shot of me having anything demonic attack me. I've been hit in the head and I've been scratched, and it kind of just comes with the territory. And if they're that adamant about not wanting to do it, I leave them alone. I mean, it's not for me to force them out of what they believe is their home or their territory. You've got to, for me, I've got to treat the spirits as I would treat humans. And I actually treat them better because I feel bad. Most of them don't know what's going on. So it's all about being patient. Sometimes they just want to like hang out and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing something. And they're like little kids. And it's like, be quiet, stop talking over one another, go stand in the corner. I'm busy right now. And this is what goes on in my head in some places, like my once a month doctor appointment. I have it at the hospital. Oh my gosh. It's just like a bunch of adult little kids around me, like pick me. And I'm not here for them. I'm here to get my medicine. But you really have to have kind of infinite patience, because I know for me, if I tried to turn it off, that's when I ended up in addiction and not doing so well, because it's my purpose here. It's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, Ghost Dragon says that he's here. He's been listening, but on the phone.
All right.
So, okay.
I use crystals as well. And sometimes, sage is a big element. Certain kinds of sage for depending on what you're trying to do. Normally it's white sage for crossing spirits over. Protective crystals, they really do work if you charge them the right way. And if you believe in them, believe it or not, our belief in those types of things are what give them a lot of their power. Right. So not all of it, obviously, where there's power, but the more you believe in something, the more it's like a placebo, right? Even if it doesn't work, it will work in your mind. And that's what it is with crystals too. It's like they really do work, but the more you believe in what they do, the more they'll do for you.
Well, belief is an energy, wouldn't you say? Like,
yeah. Well, that's how we manifest.
Yeah, it's a focusing of your intention, and there is energy behind that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody in your chat says bells and tones.
I don't know what that means.
Bells and tones. Maybe like meditation wise, or
Bells and tones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's different for anybody who would try to do it. Whatever works for you. I would say if you're out there doing that, I bless you. I mean, really, I'm so thankful for you. I get so agitated, again, watching like the ghost hunting shows, not for any particular reason, nothing against those people. And I would love to, that's like my main goal is to like end up on my own show. But I don't like, and I always use this as an example, they go into a place and they say, we know Sarah's going to be here. So let's go in and ask for Sarah. And they'll say, if you're here, tell us your name. And the spirit will say Sarah. And they start screaming and running around. Could you imagine nobody spoke to you in like 200 years? Unimaginable. And someone finally does. And you're like, all right, I'm scared, but I'm going to trust them. My name's Sarah. And they're like, screaming in your face and running around.
Right.
Do you know how terrifying that must be for a spirit? And people don't think of it like that, obviously. But when you communicate with them as much as I do, they're people. They were once human. The goal is to always should always be to get them to the other side where they can heal and reunite with their soul family and eventually reincarnate if that's what they want to do. It's never for them to be lost here earthbound, scared, unsure, alone, possibly overtaken by something evil or demonic. It's just, there's not much connection to the light, if any, when they're earthbound.
So you had mentioned getting training. You should be trained. How does one go about doing this? Who should they be looking for? Do you recommend books, or how would you direct somebody to be able to help a spirit want to cross over?
So it really depends, again, what you're looking for. If you want to help spirits cross over, I don't think you need much extrasensory ability for that, right? You're probably going to be a sensitive anyway, if that's something that you're looking to do, whether you realize it or not. But I'm sure, like, if I had more time in my life and it wasn't just me, I would probably do courses on something like this. There are always people willing to help and to teach. You don't have to be born a medium. I know 2 people who are fantastic, amazing, true mediums who learned how to work with those extrasensory abilities. They learned it through books. They learned it through courses and classes and online schools they have even. There's always someone selling something, so you've got to be careful. But these are all things that can be learned. I'm currently looking to learn how to delve more into past lives, because that's something I can't do. I've done it spontaneously, maybe 24 times throughout my life, but it's what I'm most fascinated by. Like, out of anything, it's past lives, and it's one thing I can't do, right? Of course. So I'm looking to train with someone and learn how to do those things. There's always someone willing to teach. And I would say, if that's something you have the time, the energy, and you really probably have to travel, but you don't have to travel far. I'm sure there's many people just in my town, many spirits that may want to cross over or may be confused, that I could help. But I think it's all can be learned. It's unlearned. If you think about what I always tell you guys, we're all born with the same abilities. We're all born with recall. We're all born with the ability to see the other side. We're all born with the spirit connection. Everything that I have now, we're all born with it. It's just conditioned out of 99% of us, right? So if it was unlearned, it can be relearned. Mm-hmm. It just depends if you have the patience and you really, really want to do it. I would say go for it, learn how to open yourself up, because it really is incredible when you're sitting in church, and whether, not everyone's religious, but for me as a Christian, it's incredible being in church one time and I look over and I see people getting baptized and I see my personal Lord and Savior there. It was the most raw thing I've ever experienced. And no matter what your religion is or what you're looking for, you'll have an experience like that if you can just reconnect to what you were born with in the first place. And I sincerely mean that.
Yeah. Michelle, did you want to ask Gemma anything before we start wrapping this up?
You were so quiet today.
A couple things. Wayne was definitely the talker tonight.
He was on the roll tonight. Yeah, but that's highly unusual, because usually it's us girls. We didn't get to talk about hair or anything tonight, but we'll get there.
Well, it is the end of the school year, and
Yeah, lots
No,
going on.
another time we'll have to go through that website together that I found with like all the different hotels.
Yeah,
that we
no,
stayed
I
in
would
Michigan.
love to. And my son's finally getting to an age where I would be comfortable traveling without him, right? Because I'm not bringing him anywhere haunted. But I want to travel to different places and I want to meet a bunch of you guys. But I would love to, the Cecil is probably off the list for me, but I could probably be convinced. I mean, that's just who I am. Like, I want to go in. I want to talk to the demons in there. I want to see what's going on, whose spirit's left behind. And, I know Ramirez is there a lot. People get him on EVP a lot in the Cecil.
Ooh, man.
The Austrian guy, Jack Unterwager, whatever his last name was, people get him on audio. Ramirez likes to turn the sinks on and off. So I say I would never go there for like $1 million, but to be honest, I would probably go. I would probably go. Yeah. It's called Stay on Main now. They tried to rebrand, but you can't just do that, right? It doesn't, you might get rid of a certain kind of clientele, which they couldn't do because it's an historic place. Therefore, the people who have been living there for like super duper cheap, like the residents, they couldn't put them out legally, right? So you have Skid Row right outside. You can't rebrand anyway. Those spirits are not interested in your rebrand. And all it's going to do is piss them off because you're renovating and changing things, especially when you modernize, right? Imagine being like you passed away, however you did in like the 1950s, and you stayed behind for whatever reason. And not all spirits that stay behind are miserable. Some of them are just happy to live among the living and they're good and they know that they'll go when they're ready. Those aware people can just call the light when they want to and they're aware and cognizant of that. But then like this son of a gun that moved into your house that you built is now, remodeling and making everything ultra new. Like you're going to get upset and you're going to get angry. I know I would. I'm very possessive. My house was built in 54. I don't want anything changed. Nothing's changing around here. This is my house, right? Like nothing. And we're not even putting a new bathtub in here, but it's offensive. And again, you've got to think of them as having once at least been human, at least as having once been human. I look at them all as humans. Not everyone can see. Because they are to me. Some of them are like, what's Netflix? Oh, let me show you. I know it sounds crazy and it sounds kind of oversimplified, but that is what it's like for me sometimes. It's just someone being like, what you doing? What you eating? And they can taste through you. So if I'm eating popcorn and they want to taste that, whatever I eat, if you're thinking of a loved one, make their favorite dish and think of them while you make it and while you eat it. And they'll be able to taste it and they'll be there with you.
So Nathan asks, have you ever heard of Rebecca the Ghost Guide?
I have not, but I do have my handy dandy pen and paper here, or should. I'm going to write it down. Is it something on YouTube or something else?
I'm guessing it's somebody on YouTube.
Oh, I have a big announcement too.
Okay.
Once we're done
since
here.
we're going to start wrapping it up, why don't we figure out who's going to get that free reading, and then you can tell them how to, contact you and everything else about that. Nathan says YouTube and TikTok.
All right. I will check it out. Thank you.
Rebecca the Ghost Guide.
That sounds so interesting. It sounds so cool.
It does.
Wish I had a cool name like that.
Yep. All right. Okay. So
are we picking a number?
We might as well do it that way. Yeah.
All
I
right.
would ask if you're a patron of my channel, because my Patreon is so messed up right now. The only thing I do for my patrons is give them a free once a month reading. So if you're a patron and you already receive readings now, Ghost Dragons, Blue Crossroads, I never have the time to read for you guys. Feel free to participate. But if you already receive a monthly reading from me, obviously don't. And this one's going to be for July, August, September. I normally do it month by month. I'm going to cover the next 3 months for the winter, and it's 10 to 12 cards. It's going to be cool. I'm going to stretch it out for you and give you an idea of what's going on. So if you want to just explain the number thing, you guys pick it, and I'll let them know how to.
Okay, so we are looking for a number between 1 and 42. 1 and 42, got the number written down. Already showed it to my other half over there.
Yep. And even if you're in Gemma's chat, we'll see it in the StreamYard chat. So go ahead and type your number in. And when we see that number show up, we will call a winner. So, okay. Chat is
Not
jumping. Okay.
Got some that are
Yep,
close.
yeah, you're getting there. You're getting there. Keep going. This is
The
for free
suspense.
readings from Gemma.
I know.
Amazing. Let's see. Okay. Now there is a little bit of a delay, so we'll have to work something out with Gemma if two people get the number at the same time.
Yeah,
Oh,
one
there it
was
is.
not a
Wait, Nathan. Nope.
Oh, Nathan.
Nathan.
Showed up
Okay.
first. The number was, Michelle, there
23.
it is, 23.
That's my favorite number.
Yep. That's the
That's
date
Wayne's
of
birthday.
my birthday. So yeah.
Really?
June 23rd.
Yep.
One of my sons is April 23rd. All right. So Nathan, all I need you to do is email me at Gemma Jade. I'll put it in there. Gemma Jade Paranormal at gmail.com. And what I need from you is the name you prefer to be called. So like Nathan, and your birth date, and an email address where I can send you the link. So when I do readings, I sometimes do them through video chat, and we do like an hour and a half. But for my general remote readings, the great part is I just need your info, and I'll do the reading remotely on your energy, the information you gave me. I'll take a peek into what's going on, and then I'll just email you a private link on YouTube that only you and I can see. Nobody else will have access to it, and it'll stay up. So you can even go back afterwards and see how much of what I said actually happened and what you were able to change with your own free will. So get that to me as
really
soon
cool.
as possible. I'd like to get this done before June 20th because working over the summer is going to be a hassle for me. So nut slap.
Yep. So congratulations, Nathan. Now, as we wrap this up, everybody, make sure you go over to YouTube and go to the @ sign, Gemma Jade YT. So at the end of, so Gemma Jade, one word with YT at the end, no spaces, and that'll get you to her channel. Now, what is this big announcement you got there, Gemma?
Okay, so I'm very excited to announce that the History Channel reached out to me and asked me for my personal Glimmerman encounter, which is the most viewed video on my channel. It's my most loathed because I did that video before I started talking about my own abilities. I was testing the waters to see how people would react to me, or, would I be shunned like I always was in real life, or would I be accepted? So they reached out, and they're doing a new show. I don't know when it's premiering. I was supposed to have the interview this week for like the show, but I was so sick. So we're doing it next week. And what they're going to do is recreate the stories that people give them with AI, which is so cool. I mean, a Glimmerman, how else do you do that? And so what they asked me to do, what the producer said she would do, is because I'm on YouTube and kind of an influencer, I guess, or trying to be, she said anybody that has their own personal encounters, right? So right now they're looking for bizarre, kind of rare cryptids, like a Glimmerman, a pale crawler, Dogman, like whatever you have. If you're willing to be a guest and show your face and be on the History Channel on this show, you let me know and I will send your encounter. So send it to me by email, your encounter and your information over to the show's producer. And if they decide to use your encounter, they will reach out to you. And it's a good way if you're, if you are on YouTube, to try to get some more exposure and just to get, guys, whether you want to be an influencer, whether you want to be well known or not, right? Whether you do this for a living or not, it's important that we get our stories out there, whether it be with spirits, the paranormal, the demonic, cryptids, because we're in 2025 and they are still trying to keep us silent. They're still trying to make us feel like we're crazy and, like we don't know what we're talking about. We're just seeing things, right? We're just conspiracy theorists. So if you feel like that's something you would be interested in doing, my email's in there, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. Please email me with your encounter and your, obviously your email for contact information. And I promise I will pass it right along to the producer of the show. And if they decide to use you, they will reach out to you. And I think that's a really great opportunity.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else coming up in the near future for you? Any new books coming out or?
Not right now. I probably am going to start working on something again midsummer or September, because again, I get that like 8-week period where I don't know when I'm going to be able to do anything. But you know, all of my books are available on Amazon. There's 14 of them. So Kindle, paperback, and Audible. If you go to Amazon and just type in Gemma Jade books, everything that I wrote will come up. It's so much easier. Yep. And then you get the Kindle and paperback option there. You can go to Audible, Gemma Jade books, same thing. I am on TikTok. TikTok, though, is a little bit different than it's more like my YouTube shorts where I kind of do skits and I'm just trying to be funny. It's not like anything paranormal over there, but I do over on TikTok and on Instagram, I do the 1 card weekly. So I'll pull 1 card for each astrological sign for each week. So it's very general. It's for the collective, but it's a good way, again, for me to get exposure and for you guys to just get a little glimpse into what your next week is going to be like. So on those platforms, it's either Gemma Jade or Gemma Jade YT with no spaces. Yes, please email me. And just thanks for coming out, everybody. I really missed you guys. I didn't get to stream Friday. So thank you guys for having me. You guys are amazing. And that's about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, Gemma, thank you for joining us. We're talking about still getting out there at some point.
We've got something in the works.
We got something in the works. So yeah, so we'll try to get out there to see you in the real. But with that, I guess we'll talk to you soon, and we'll
I'm gonna go put little guy to bed and give him a spanking for messing up my speaker. So I'm just kidding. I don't believe in spankings, but you know what I mean. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Woo, where are you at, Michelle?
I don't know. Did my head disappear with this background again?
Jeez.
No, but part of my shoulder did.
You've been glowing in stars the whole time. There we go.
I always love listening to her.
Yeah, Nathan, good job, man. Congratulations. And yeah, you emailed her, so perfect. She will contact you. Everybody over on Gemma's channel, thanks for joining us tonight. We had a great count of people. Glad you could join us. Gemma's great as always. Everybody on our channel, thank you for joining in and watching us. Next week, the 8th, don't know yet. We don't know what's going on. Maybe we'll reach out to Brian. He likes to talk a lot. We'll get Brian on here. And he always blows our mind.
I don't know. He's in New York. He's a busy person.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well,
crowded New York.
We'll figure something out for next week. But once again, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for hitting that like, share, and subscribe. Turn on those notifications. You know what to do. And we really appreciate you guys joining us on Gemma's channel and our channel as well. So with that being said, Michelle.
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody.
8 more days.
8 more days, baby.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. And with that.
Not that voice.
It's that voice, baby. All right. You can
keep
tell
your
I'm
eyes
tired.
to the skies, folks.
Yeah.
This one needs to go to bed.
Yeah. Good night.